What are you hearing, Maggie, about what Trump's most interested in and what he's focused on as he's looking to fill out his cabinet?
Yeah, so Manu, I want to caveat this, as we did in that piece, that all of this is heavily asterisked right now. There are lists going around, there are people floating names, Trump is soliciting names, he's suggesting names that he's considering to people. None of this is real until he actually says what he's going to do. And it's notable that he started out by eliminating people with a Saturday night truth post about Mike Pompeo and Nikki Haley. He's most interested in a handful of cabinet posts, and that's been the case the whole time. He was not interested in most of his cabinet during his term. He's interested in the Attorney General, the Secretary of Defense, the CIA Director, and he is interested in the Secretary of Homeland Security because that's the piece that deals heavily with immigration, and that is something that he's campaigned on aggressively. What those posts end up looking like really remains to be seen. What we have heard is that there is not a ton of consensus around who could fill any of those spots right now. And unlike what we saw when he was coming in as new president in 2017, there are not a bunch of big names from, established Washington or, prominent companies like Rex Tillerson, the head of ExxonMobil, who became the Secretary of State. This is much more people who are coming from Congress or people who are coming from the states or who are known to Trump. And we'll see what that ends up looking like. They are aware that they have a Senate majority now that makes it easier to get a bunch of people confirmed, but it's still, there's the possibility of losing a bunch of Republican votes if Trump nominates controversial people.
Obviously, you mentioned Attorney General. That clearly is going to be a key thing that he's considering here. One, who do you have who do you think is actually his front runner? Do we know who his front runner could be? And two, he talks so much about retaliation against his political enemies on the campaign trail. Is that a real consideration as he weighs his Attorney General pick?
Look, I don't think that there is a clear front runner right now, Manu. There are a bunch of overlapping camps around Trump right now, and they all have to sort of align on a consensus in order for him to go ahead with somebody. There's a bunch of names that you've put up there. I think some are more real than others, but whether those people end up being the person is anybody's guess. Is he serious about retribution? He's been talking about retribution or revenge pretty consistently over the last 2 years, but certainly most of his life. So yes, I expect that will be a thing. You talked earlier in the show about his desire for loyalty, which we heard him ask a number of people about when he was in office previously. That will be the case this time. The constraints on him in terms of what he needs for loyalty, Manu, are a little different because the Supreme Court ruling about presidential immunity for official acts gives him a lot more latitude to do things that people would have stopped him from doing the last time he was president. But he still wants somebody who is going to be basically an extension of him, which Jeff Sessions was just not. Jeff Sessions honored the post-Watergate norm of judicial Justice Department independence. Bill Barr was more in lockstep with Trump in terms of how he viewed the world, but there were things he wouldn't do either. So we'll see what this looks like.